Sweet dreams are made of these. Who
Who
am
am
I?
I to disagree?
Travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking
Looking
for.
for someone.
Called to the bullpen.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of Call to the Bullpen. You are back listening to a NFL divisional preview. That's right, another playoff week in the NFL. We're kicking it off.
Or are we talking about the NFL?
The NFL. All right, dude. Colts Chiefs. Jared, start it up.
Alrighty. We got the Indianapolis Colts at the Kansas City Chiefs, and the winner gets to go to the AFC Championship game. Who would have thought we would have been here back in September? Huh?
Well, the Chiefs knew they were going to be here
Yeah,
in September.
pretty sure the Chiefs knew, yeah.
No, but I mean, come on. We got to talk about Indy for a second here. I mean, this team, they've won 10 of their last 11 games. They started 1-5. They were supposed to be a bottom-of-the-barrel horrible football team this year. A lot of people said maybe worst team in the AFC, probably going to be picking top 10 overall. They were going to be where the Jaguars are, right? Instead, here they are, riding Sir Andrew Luck, Marlon Mack, Eric Ebron, T.Y. Hilton, Darius Leonard. Now they think that they can go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs.
Well, yeah, when you have a guy like Andrew Luck at quarterback, it really does change the entire personality of the offense and of the team in general. And not to mention, they got a couple rookies on the offensive line. They have been playing absolutely phenomenal this year. The difference between last year and this year, the amount of sacks let up, they went from 32nd last year to first this year. They've just absolutely revamped that offensive line for Andrew Luck, which is exactly what they needed, and Andrew Luck is rewarding them with some great play.
Yeah, Quentin Nelson. I mean, there have been a lot of exceptional rookies this year. I think that he might be one of the more unsung heroes of last year's draft class, just because offensive linemen, they're not sexy talking points, whether you're talking about the reason that a team's winning or losing, but they're so important. I mean, we've seen it so many times, this season alone, in how that can make the difference. A terrible offensive line, your team can't move the ball whatsoever. A really good one, like the Colts, you look how far it's taken them.
Let's talk about the Chiefs for a second, though. This team coming into Arrowhead, playing at home. Think they could pull it off against the Red Hot Colts?
I do. I picked them to beat the Colts in my bracket. I think the Chiefs are finally going to get that what do you call it, gorilla off their shoulder, or what do you call that?
Monkey off your back.
There you go, monkey off their back.
That was close. Your shoulder, back,
yeah.
Ass.
I think they're finally going to do. I think they're going to finally win a playoff game at home, and it's not going to be easy either. I can see that this is a really high-scoring game. Patrick Mahomes has proven that he will throw for 3 touchdowns. It's just going to happen. So I'm saying this game's going to be in the 30s range, possibly even 40s for one of these teams. And I've got the Chiefs winning in an absolutely great game, a shooter game. And I don't think that the Colts defense, and I'm sorry, I don't think that the Chiefs defense will be able to stop Andrew Luck either. That's why I got it at a shootout.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because the last time these two teams met in the playoffs, the final score was 45-44. And obviously the Chiefs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's definitely a shootout.
that would be good TV.
Yeah, sure would be. I mean, the Chiefs, here's the thing. I think that they're significantly more mortal without Kareem Hunt. Just because they could still kind of run the ball, but it's not the same as having an absolute stud running back. When you have that to complement their pass attack, it just makes them infinitely dangerous. It got them to the point where, they were in that type of game against the Rams back on Monday night a few weeks back where the final score was 54-51. And I don't know if they quite have the same offensive capacity without him, but they can still put up a ton, and I think that they could do enough to outscore Indy here. I think Indy's going to be a little out of their element playing in the cold weather. We've said this all season long, right? Dome teams going on the road in January, it's usually bad news for them. I do think the Colts have the defense to hang around here, whereas the Chiefs can't really stop anybody. They are one-dimensional, but if you're going to be one-dimensional, you might as well be pretty much the best at it, and as far as I'm concerned, the Chiefs have the best passing offense in football. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is a bona fide MVP this year, and with the weapons he has to throw to, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, just tip of the iceberg. They put up points in bunches, and the key for them is going to be getting out in front early and staying ahead, because if you allow that Colts defense to set the tone early, then it's going to be tough sledding, much like it was for Houston. But I just think compared to Houston, the Chiefs have demonstrated so much more consistency this season that they're not going to go one and done. And Andy Reid has historically coached very, very well, coming off of byes. I think this will be, as you guys said, the time to get that monkey off their back.
Well, I did just check the weather now that you mentioned it. It's going to be 40 degrees. I don't think 40 degrees isn't too bad. It does say there might be a mix out there, but I don't really think it's going to be that crazy cold weather that the Colts won't be able to really handle it. But you did make a lot of good points there. I think that Damian Williams, who's filling in for Kareem Hunt, obviously, since he got removed from the league, I think that he's going to be a major point. He's been great for them so far.
Man.
Yeah,
Great.
So,
absolutely, especially with Spencer Ware's absence, and Spencer Ware hasn't done anything really.
Yeah,
he's helped obviously a little bit.
They actually signed Damian Williams to an extension too, so they're going to keep him around.
Now, I think, right? Yeah.
So he'll be able to fill in that receiving back role for them. I think that Kansas City's just got too much firepower. You got Tyreek Hill, you got Travis Kelce, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got superstars on defense that will make plays, like Justin Houston and Eric Berry. Like, they will be able to make plays.
Sorensen steps up once in a blue moon.
Yeah, So I think that there's enough there for Kansas City to get it done at home. But like I said before, it's going to be a shootout.
I am very interested to see how
you think the Bears will sign Kareem Hunt next season?
No.
To kick?
I don't think. Maybe.
Joking, ladies and gentlemen, of course.
It is probably going to be a very similar matchup, I think, for Indianapolis' offense compared to what they faced in against Houston. It's going to be similar in the sense that they're going to have to attack that secondary early and often, because the Chiefs, it's crazy because their defense gets a lot of flack because they allowed a lot of points this season, but they do have some playmakers up front. I mean, between Dee Ford, Chris Jones, and Justin Houston, you're talking over almost, I think pretty much just about under 40 sacks between those three guys alone.
Wow, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, Chris Jones had 15 and a half, one of the top five in the league. A lot of people don't know.
Now, Chris Jones is very underrated. He's having a great breakout year this year. I do know that he's probably making more of an impact now in the pass rush than guys like Justin Houston is, who's getting a little bit older in age, but still is able to make a play here and there. It'll be interesting to see, because we talk about how good the Colts offensive line really is. So they'll actually get a pretty difficult pass rush to deal with, especially in Kansas City, where it gets really loud, and there'll be some communication errors for sure. I mean, Austin, you've been to Kansas City. I mean, what's it like?
It is incredible, to say the least. I've been in a few stadiums in a few different sporting events, and that, other than maybe the Yankees walking off against the Angels there, Jared, in 2009, we were at that game.
Yes. No, it was against the Orioles.
Orioles, whatever. Yeah, sorry. Other than Raul Ibanez's 2 home run playoff game, and honestly, in terms of actual, what do they measure sound in? Decibels. In terms of decibels, Kansas City's probably still louder. I mean, that stadium, and it was negative 14 degrees, and not a single person was quiet. The chants, the cheers, the craziness, it's just loud, man. And I said it last week. We were talking about the difference between Seattle and Kansas City. I still would classify, granted, I haven't been in Seattle for a home game. I would still classify Seattle as the 11th and a half man, and Kansas City the 12th man, because it's just stupid loud.
So it sounds to me like we are all giving Indy their due, but we're all leaning KC in this game. Is that correct?
Yes.
Just to touch base on that sack stat you mentioned before, we were talking Dee Ford, Jones, and Justin Houston. Houston had 9, Jones had 15 and a half, and Dee Ford had 13. So if my math serves me correct, I think that's somewhere in the range of 37 and a half, which I'm just trying to add it up as I'm speaking here.
Correct.
So pretty good stat.
Pretty good.
Yeah, without question.
And that was out of a team total of 52. Stand by. 52. So out of a team total of 52, those guys had 37.5. Which, I mean, obviously they're the big defensive playmakers, so I mean it makes sense. I'm sure if I looked at Von Miller's stats and Bradley Chubb, I'm sure they led the team in sacks too, just based off of principle that they're.
Yes, they did.
Correct.
Oh, yes, they did.
Oh yeah, you're talking to the expert right
regardless, still it's 38 between three guys. I mean, you're talking an average of 12 and a half apiece, somewhere in that range. So still a really good stat.
Yippers. So yeah, hopefully Kansas City can get it done. This is a team that has missed a lot of opportunities to go to the AFC Championship game over the last 10 or so years. So hopefully this is the year that they can finally break through and take advantage of that home field advantage that they wrapped up at the end of the season. Next up, so that was the 4:40 p.m. game for this Saturday night. And at the 8 o'clock time slot, prime time, we have the Dallas Cowboys traveling to L.A. for a Battle of Los Angeles against the Rams. It's going to be 4 versus 2. Winner goes to the conference
title. What are you talking about?
Why would it be a Battle of Los Angeles?
The battle in Los Angeles.
All right, in Los Angeles.
Yeah, battle in Los Angeles. That would be the.
That is very misleading.
It just.
I didn't know they were fighting aliens.
All right.
If it was L.A. versus L.A., it would be Battle of L.A.
All right, fair
Wasn't
enough.
that a movie, Battle of Los Angeles?
Yes,
it was about
horrible.
shooting aliens.
Yeah,
it was like
terrible.
the really unpopular, crappy, non-funded version of Men in Black.
Very bad. It was more like District 9.
It was. Considering something a crappy version of District 9 is really bad.
Yes.
District 9 got a Best Picture nomination. Men in Black did not get that. So
what, in Iraq?
Nah, District 9 was cool. Yeah, like the
Academy Awards.
For the shoulder. Yeah, it was fine. I liked it. It was like dramatic and stuff. Anyway, moving on.
How did we get this?
Actually, well, we should. We'll review movies.
Next.
So 7. This is a 7-point line.
Correct.
I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be closer than 7.
Absolutely.
The Cowboys should not be forgotten. I think that the Cowboys' defensive front is going to be able to hold on to Gurley enough to where it's going to force Jared Goff to throw the ball. And in the past couple weeks, Jared Goff has been terrible throwing the ball. Terrible. He loses Cooper Kupp. And it's like he doesn't know how to play football anymore. So this will be really interesting. Could be very low scoring as well. If Todd Gurley isn't able to break out, as we know, he was struggling with an injury, had to take a week off. Actually, had to take 2 weeks off. C.J. Anderson had to fill in for him. So he's not completely healthy, and they're able to keep him contained. This game could be like a 17-13 type of game where it's a real slugfest at the line of scrimmage, and especially the other way around too. It'll be interesting to see what Aaron Donald and Dominic Sue can do against guys like Ezekiel Elliott. This is going to be a really, really tough game.
Do you think the Cowboys have a chance at winning?
Absolutely, they have a chance. Absolutely. The Rams haven't won a playoff game yet under Sean McVay, and I know that's only one season.
Very small sample size, Chase.
Yeah. I know it's only one season, but still, we saw the Rams are very vulnerable right now towards the end of the season, too. This was the team that was, 8-0, 9-0, and they end up in the 2nd seed. And I know New Orleans has had a great season, but that's very disappointing for them.
It's okay.
8-0 and 11-1 at one point.
11-1 at one point, and they end up at the number 2 seed. So I think the Cowboys, they're going to be very riding high on their Seattle Seahawks win. I will give the edge to the Rams just because it is in L.A., but I would not be surprised if the Cowboys win this. I wouldn't. I think it'll be a close game.
I think you raise a lot of good points. I can't disagree with a lot of what you said. I do think that Jared Goff, in particular, has looked very vulnerable over the last month or so to close the season. The Rams looked unstoppable through September, October, and November. And then, they start to drop a couple of games. They lost to the Saints. Then they lost to the Bears. Then they lost to the Eagles. The Eagles game was the real red flag to me, a game that they just shouldn't have played as poorly as they did. But nonetheless, they're looking a lot more mortal without Cooper Kupp. Much like we talked about the Chiefs, how they've looked a little bit different without Kareem Hunt. But when I look at the Rams and what makes this offense go, and I look at the Cowboys game against the Seahawks last week, I feel like they're more built to take advantage of the Cowboys' defensive weaknesses because I talked in the recap about how Russell Wilson had success throwing against the Cowboys secondary despite the fact that they didn't really establish anything up front. Their running game was a non-factor in that game, and he was still able to get the ball downfield. Jared Goff, throughout this season, he's working with better receivers than Russell's working with over in Seattle, with Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks. And not only that, but Todd Gurley has proven to be a pretty darn solid receiving option in the backfield as well. So maybe the Rams are not going to be able to win the war up front right away. But I think that just the way their offense is run, even though it's worse without Cooper Kupp, they still have enough weapons to take advantage of the Cowboys' weaknesses in the secondary to the point that, maybe they can overcome that pass rush. If their offensive line can hold it, I think that they can make the plays downfield to outscore the Cowboys in this game. And I'm interested to see, I know you, Chase, you talked about the matchup of Sue and Donald and the rest of that offensive line, Brockers, all those pass rushers against the Cowboys offensive line. Because, the Rams are a team that they've got a lot of talent on defense, but they haven't been able to stop teams in the way you might have expected throughout this season. But you can't knock the fact that Aaron Donald was still the NFL's leading pass rusher with 20 and a half sacks. So they can obviously make plays against the quarterback if they get Dak under pressure, if they can contain Ezekiel Elliott, which I don't think they will entirely. But like I said, I just like the matchup of their offense against the Cowboys secondary. So originally I thought the Rams were going to get upset by the Bears, but just because I don't think the Cowboys bring the same ferociousness and the same danger in the secondary that the Bears would have brought to this game, I think the Rams are going to go to the NFC Championship.
All right. Well, so we both got the Rams there. Austin also has the Rams.
Yeah, definitely. I had the Rams making it pretty far in this bracket here, and granted, I've been wrong every other time. Maybe I should have picked the Cowboys because I got every game wrong last week. But I'm going to stick with the Rams. I think there's a very valid chance that the Cowboys win this. The Cowboys went 7-1 in their last 8 games of the season. So, they definitely had the hot hand going in. And like you said, Chase, the Rams are relatively vulnerable and have shown signs of weakness. And if Dallas can take the time to watch the tape and figure out exactly what that weakness is and how to stop Gurley, like you said, and keep Jared Goff throwing the ball and throwing it badly, I think they can take advantage because their defense has been hot.
Jared, would this kill you if the Cowboys win?
It would be certainly very frustrating, but like you said, it wouldn't be a humongous shocker just based off of, I think when the Rams lost to the Eagles just showed me they're not that, unstoppable, irresistible force or anything like that. So it would suck. I certainly think the Rams are the better team, the more talented team, and I just, after last season was the Pats versus the Eagles, I really don't want to see another Giants rival in the Super Bowl, so I just want these teams eliminated.
Yeah, that would be bad. All right, so next up we have, in the pecking order, would be the Chargers at the New England Patriots. And this one is the one that we all had with the Ravens in.
Yep.
So we're all going to have to make a decision here.
Technically, I had Houston, but
Yeah, well, we all had a different team here. Yeah, you're right. So we all had a different team here. So we're all going to give our first real prediction of this matchup. And I'll go first. And I'm still taking the Patriots. And it's because Phillip Rivers is 0-7 against Tom Brady in his career. It's in Foxboro. The Patriots know what they're getting with the Chargers. Very simple. You got to stop Melvin Gordon, and you got to protect against the sidelines with Keenan Allen and Phillip Rivers. That's pretty much what you're getting with them. If you can maintain those guys, I think that the Patriots will be able to score on the Chargers defense. Although the Chargers defense did play very well against Baltimore, I don't think they're nearly as good as Baltimore's defense, and Tom Brady will be able to score plenty of points and win this game.
So who on the Patriots defense is going to stop those guys you just mentioned?
Stephon Gilmore is having an amazing year and can definitely match up against Keenan Allen.
I'm just saying. They look. They've been.
He is. He's top 5 in Pro Football Focus.
They've they've certainly played a lot better. We know what the Patriots can do at home, obviously in Foxboro, but I don't know. I mean, there's still a team that let up 34 points to the freaking Miami Dolphins.
You can't compare games to games. If anything, you know how football is. You can't
Yeah,
do that.
I know. I should know better than that. The Patriots have done nothing to impress me this season whatsoever. I mean, it's a common case of they play in an awful division and you go 5-5 against the rest of the league essentially, and you have a first round bye wrapped up there waiting for you. You barely get there at 11-5, and the Chargers are so much more talented than them and have so much more exciting playmakers on both sides of the ball. And the fact that their offense has regressed this year and they lean more on Sony Michel than they do Tom Brady, actually. And the Chargers, you saw what they did against the run against Baltimore. So with Melvin Ingram and Joey
That is true. That's a good point.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be tough sledding. We got to mention the conditions, too. It's supposed to apparently snow during this game.
Really? I did not hear that.
Yeah.
That does make this interesting.
It might be
Melvin Gordon versus Sony Michel show. I think I'd probably take Melvin Gordon in that.
I would 100% take Melvin Gordon.
We'll see how much snow it really is. But, I mean, I just can't go against Tom Brady yet. Not yet.
It's, I mean, if they were to lose this game, which I think they're going to lose, I'll elaborate more in a sec. If the Patriots go one and done, is this, we've been hearing it, year in, year out, this could be the end, this could be the end. A one and done in the playoffs here, could this be the beginning of the end of the Brady era?
It is the beginning of the end. This year is the beginning of the end, in my opinion. You're losing Gronk next year, 100%. Gronk is a shell of a player he is. He's hurt. He's banged up. It's nothing against the guy. He's had a great career, but it's time to call it quits for him. Brady's got, he says 2 years, I think is what he says. He wants to play until he's 43, I think, 44. And we saw what happens with these guys, right? Like Favre did it. He came back a bunch. You just lose it. And it's sad to see. But what's that?
And you're also looking at potentially multiple coordinators leaving for other coaching jobs.
That's true. Yeah. You lost your DC last year.
Yep.
And now you might lose Josh McDaniels this year. Brady will stick around, I think, for at least next season. But I'm gonna keep.
That's a testament to Bill Belichick.
Yeah, but I'm gonna keep picking the Patriots to win the division because there's nobody else there. So yeah, like it's over. Like I don't think they'll be able to win another Super Bowl. Yes, and in that respect, I think it's coming to an end, the dynasty. But I still think they're gonna make the playoffs next year.
I hope there's like a 15-year drought. Wouldn't that just be enjoyable for us Giants fans?
That's how it works.
That's
how the system works.
Would be pretty wonderful. But I would say the coordinator point is the only thing I'll disagree on because the Patriots, their offensive and defensive coordinators never last that long because other teams make the classic.
McDaniels has been around for a long time.
Well,
he left for a little while, but then he came back.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that other teams think that like because these coordinators served under Belichick that they're just as smart as he is, and if you look at the track record, Patriots coordinators don't do great as head coaches. They don't coach winning teams really, so. I don't think that's going to impact the team too much. Like, they lost Matt Patricia, and their defense played better this year without him. So I think that kind of puts that to rest. But certainly personnel-wise, player-wise, especially on offense, they're an old team, apart from Sony Michel, with Brady and Gronk and Edelman. So this could be the beginning of the end. I think the Chargers are, when I just look at the remaining AFC playoff teams, they're the most well-rounded. They've got the best offense-defense balance. They've got the proven veteran quarterback who should be the hungriest out of any guy in the playoffs, honestly. There's no reason that he shouldn't be. I think that Phillip Rivers' desire should not be matched by any of the four remaining QBs. And it's going to be tough, obviously, if the conditions are a factor, then who knows what could happen. Because that could potentially take both teams out of their element. But I feel good with the Chargers at this point. I felt good about that Ravens-Chargers game. Whoever came out of that was going to have the edge going forward, and now I feel like the Chargers have what it takes to go in and upset the Pats.
Still taking the Patriots.
So you guys think we're getting KC, New England,
Chiefs, Pats? Yep.
Honestly,
and the Chiefs have beaten the Patriots before. Not in the Super Bowl, but like in regular season games.
Didn't they lose to the Patriots this year?
Yeah, they beat them last year.
They
Okay,
did.
well,
I'm just
these are
saying.
two different football teams.
I'm just saying. It happens.
This would be a
Um,
rematch of one of the best games of the regular season when the Chiefs lost to the Pats 43-40 in Foxboro.
Yeah, and on the other side of the bracket, I have another great rematch. But I will say this: if the Chargers and the Colts win, LA ends up hosting an AFC Championship game. Isn't that interesting? As a 5 seed.
Wow.
Yep, that'd be pretty weird. But on to our final game.
I wonder the last time.
Sorry, you got something to say?
I'm sorry. I wanted to say I wonder if that's ever happened before. If both wildcard teams ever made it to a conference championship, because I remember one of those classic lower seed situations was one year about 10 years ago when the Arizona Cardinals at the 4 seed hosted the Eagles, who were 6th. So that's close. Almost.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah, that'd be something.
On the other side of the bracket, we have the New Orleans Saints against the Philadelphia Eagles, and this one hurts. This one hurts me a lot. I am torn.
Don't do it, Chase.
This is how I set up my bracket. I had the Eagles going to the Saints, and I picked the Saints. They're favored by 8 points. Don't these fucking bookies get it? Don't make the Eagles the underdogs. They fuel off of it. Make it an even line. Make it the Eagles -1. Don't make them 8-point underdogs. They're going to see that, and they're going to start fucking drooling at the mouth.
Yeah, but do you know how many people would go on the Saints if the freaking Eagles were giving points to them?
Yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying is...
Vegas doesn't care about who actually wins as long as they win.
Correct.
So they're not going to make the Eagles give the Saints a point.
All right, stop talking logistics about bookies. I was trying to make a point.
But your point's invalid.
I'm sorry, are you a bookie anymore? So, I will take, if I'm betting on this game, I'm taking the Eagles getting +8. If I'm taking a team to win, I'm going to take the Saints. I think Drew Brees, it's got to be time. He's got 1. He needs 2. He's too good. His team's too good right now. And what does it say if he loses in the divisional round to Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles? It says that he's not a GOAT. He's not. He's just another good quarterback on a good team. And I think Drew Brees is more than that.
Yeah, I would totally agree, especially considering the last time these teams met in November, the final score was 48-7. And I mention this because the Eagles claim, according to Jason Peters, that they wanted revenge for that game because they felt like the Saints kind of embarrassed them and ran up the score on them, which, honestly, I can't blame them. You know, you got the defending champs in your house. If you have a chance to expose them and rip them to shreds, I absolutely would have done what they did and made the statement. But now you have to deal with angering the sleeping giant. But the Saints, especially at home, they are such an offensive workhorse to deal with. This season, I'm going to take you through. There was one game this year with the Saints regulars, because the last game they rested everybody. There was one game at home where they did not score at least 30 points, and that was against the Browns in week 2. And most of those other games, they put up 40 plus, at least half of them. So that tells you what the Eagles are going to have to deal with here. Their offense plays better with Nick Foles, but are they at that level? I don't think they can keep up if the Saints get out in front early and keep stacking the touchdowns over and over again. Because unlike the Bears, this is a team that gets into the end zone and does it often, frequently. You're dealing with Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, Traquan Smith back there as well as sneaky. And, of course, you got Drew Brees in there who, like you said, should want that second ring.
I absolutely agree. I think in this matchup, the Saints just have more weapons and more options to use for whatever defense the Eagles come out with. If the Eagles come out with this, we're going to stuff Alvin Kamara defense, Drew Brees is just going to throw over the head of everybody. If they come out with we're going to play cover 3 the whole time, Alvin Kamara is going to run all over them. I absolutely think the Saints have the advantage in this game. Drew Brees is a smarter quarterback. Their defense is better. Their offense is better. And I think that they 100% will take this game. The Eagles may have a chance to keep it somewhat close, but I don't think the Saints lose this game in any way, shape, or form.
You bring up a good point. So the Eagles... they play a very zone-heavy 4-man rush scheme. So you're only rushing 4 men, and you're expecting them to get pressure. Well, that means you're giving Drew Brees all the time in the world to pick apart a zone defense.
With at least 5 blockers. If not blocking with a potential 5 to 6 blocker on a 4-man rush.
Yes, and with guys like Alvin Kamara that can definitely burn linebackers, and Michael Thomas, who is going to burn the very injured, let's not forget, very injured secondary of the Eagles, I think it'll probably be too much. But I still think Nick Foles has got some magic left. As much as you guys hate to hear it, I mean, he's proven that he's got some sort of chip on his shoulder, and he likes going out there and playing in these types of games. That's why I think it'll be closer than 8.
Yeah, I mean, with the Eagles' magic, it's hard to predict that they're just going to get completely blown out, even though that's what history would tell you, both with the Saints' playoff history in the Superdome, especially coming off of bye. They've traditionally done, very well, in that situation playing at home. You think back to the last time they won the Super Bowl, of course, when they were the 1 seed, and it looks like the stars are aligning toward that once again this year. And the Eagles just so bad. I mean, if you told me that on paper that it's the Saints offense led by Drew Brees and all those guys going up against an Eagles secondary where all the starters from week 1 are injured, I mean, that just sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, but unfortunately, guys step up and they play hard, and you get on a rhythm. You get your team. If your team believes in yourself and in themselves, honestly, that's all really football is just getting on a roll, and we see it happen all the time. We see the teams that just catch fire right before the postseason and go on runs, and if we look to the AFC, that's exactly what's happened in Indianapolis.
I'm not going to like this statistic, but it's going to back up your argument. The last team that beat the Saints at home in the playoffs, 1992, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Shit. Well, we're not picking the Eagles yet. I'm just saying that anything can happen.
Who the hell was their quarterback in 1992?
Donovan McNabb.
Let me fact check that for you.
Donovan McNabb, baby.
Yeah, and I don't think Nick Foles is a Donovan McNabb.
I said 1992, not 2002.
So was it then Randall Cunningham?
I don't even know if he was the dude back then. Let me I gotta fact check this for you.
It was one of those 2 guys.
Randall Cunningham from 85 to 95.
There you go, Randall Cunningham.
All right. Well,
the other guy that runs around.
I was going to say the other Eagles quarterback that ran like absolute crazy. So sorry.
Yeah. So that was.
They're both big freaking dudes that ran like horses.
Very athletic. Yeah.
Like Donovan McNabb wasn't no. I mean, what was Mike Vick? 190 pounds soaking wet, maybe like 205. I mean, McNabb had to be like 260, and he was just trucking around.
He was a good 235, 240 runner.
He was a big dude.
But yeah, I'm gonna still take the Saints.
Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna say this: both of you guys are going with the classic 1 versus 2 on both sides. Most of the time in the playoffs, that doesn't happen. So let me propose to you this. One game, if you had to pick one game that you think you will be wrong on between the two of you, what do you think it's going to be?
Cowboys, Rams.
Yep. I'd have to agree because I still think the Cowboys have a chance to beat the Rams. I don't think in any way, shape, or form.
You don't think the Chargers are going to beat the Pats? I figured that's my runner-up.
Not really. I think the Patriots will pull it off. I think the Chiefs will win. And I don't think the Eagles have any shot in hell to beat the Saints. So I'd still have to go Dallas and the Rams because the Rams are super fluky. Super fluky.
That's right. That's probably what it is. So like if I'm dissecting this right now, I'm looking at the teams that I picked. So I picked the Rams, I picked the Eagles, and I picked the Chiefs. Although the Patriots, I said the Eagles, I meant the Patriots. So although the Patriots aren't as good as they have been in previous years, they're still playing at home, and they do play way better at home. So I'm pretty confident with that. I'm pretty confident that Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to play against a pretty good Colts defense, but not too crazy. I think it'll be. But then the Rams, it's just like they ended the season so poorly. Todd Gurley's been hurt. the Cowboys just got a huge win against Seattle, which a lot of people, although they were favored, thought that Seattle was going to win that game. So Dallas scares me the most.
I would agree to an extent. I mean, I think, well, for me, I went with the Chargers over the Pats, but I do think that the Cowboys-Rams is the game that I could be wrong on as well. I think that game, if it was in Dallas, then I would be much more inclined to go with the upset, because I think that you could have seen something similar to when they played the Saints on that Thursday night game. But I think that they're out of their element on the road. I think it's going to be different. They've had they have a week off to prepare, and especially with the Rams, the fact that they went one and done last year, it's that same exact group with Sean McVay coming back, and they fortified with Brandon Cooks. So I feel like they're going to be hungrier here. I feel like they're going to learn from what happened last year. I feel like they're going to want to. We talked about the Chiefs. It's been longer, but the Rams have a monkey to get off their back as well.
Yeah, I mean, you make a little bit of a point just going through their schedule this year relatively quickly. If I did the math correctly, I believe they went 3-5 on the road this year. The Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
So they lost 5 of their 6 games on the road this year.
Well, there you go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the Cowboys haven't made it to the conference championship in over 20 years.
That doesn't mean a damn thing.
No, I agree. But, well, on that note, wouldn't it be
like, if they had the same players for the last 20 years, fine. But, that doesn't mean anything.
Well, what I was going to follow that up with is, Tony Romo caught a lot of flack for not getting the Cowboys past the divisional round. So what would it say if with Dak Prescott at quarterback, they go to the NFC Championship game?
Tony Romo didn't have Amari Cooper.
I was going to say Tony Romo. I was going to say Tony Romo did have Ezekiel Elliott.
Either one of the two.
No, I totally agree.
Who did Tony Romo have to throw the ball to?
Tony Romo had DeMarco Murray for a little bit. Which was
nobody. In the last year of Terrell Owens' career?
And Terrell Owens. And actually, they hooked up a lot.
I mean, that's
Tony
fair,
Romo was around for a long time, yeah.
Oh, did they?
Still. DeMarco Murray is not Ezekiel Elliott.
He was for one season. I think you forget that one year that DeMarco was absolutely out of his mind. Then the Eagles side of be like, oh yeah, here we go. And then it's like,
yeah,
oh wait.
And who was that white dude that was on the freaking Browns?
Peyton Hillis.
Peyton Hillis. All right, there you go. Yeah. All right, yeah. So Peyton Hillis was Ezekiel Elliott for one season. Fuck your argument.
All it takes
Sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but most running backs have had a good season.
Yes, true.
Most.
Isaiah Crowell is another one.
There you go.
Well, there's good, and then there's 2,000 yards.
Yeah, but that's all they did was hand the ball off to him. And that offensive line that year was filthy.
Yeah, Tony Romo did play behind atrocious offensive lines throughout his entire career. I mean, that's a big reason why he got injured so many times and had to retire in his mid-30s.
If Dak played behind an atrocious offensive line, Dak would be terrible too.
Dak would be horrible.
Not terrible, but terrible.
Yeah, in hindsight, I mean, Tony Romo, the fact that he turned out as well as he did, considering what he had to work with, I mean, don't be misconstrued by my argument. I certainly don't believe that if the Cowboys win this week, that makes Dak Prescott a better quarterback than Tony Romo. It's just that the narratives that would be born from that, it would be impossible to take. People, because I know Cowboys fans. I have a very good friend of mine who's a Cowboys fan who was a staunch Tony Romo supporter, and he doesn't like Dak. And he hates the idea that Dak replaced Tony. He understands why it happened, but he absolutely believes that Romo deserved to be the guy to bring a Super Bowl to Dallas.
You wanna vomit in your mouth a little bit?
Sure.
If Dallas wins and New Orleans wins like we think they are, Dallas beat New Orleans this year already.
Yeah, that wasn't in the Superdome, but yes, that would make me sick. I mean, just the fact that the Cowboys would get that close.
I'm just saying, could happen. Dallas Cowboys, Super Bowl champions, 2020.
The Super Bowl's also not in the Superdome, so the Saints wouldn't have that home field.
No, well, it'd be the NFC Championship.
Oh, that's fair. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking Super Bowl. My bad. Brain fart.
Yep.
But yeah, no, then you're right.
Yep. Could happen. Anything could happen.
It
anybody's game.
It could happen, but hopefully it doesn't.
Hopefully just not the Eagles.
Yeah, I honestly, if the Saints lose to the Eagles, I wouldn't be terribly upset if the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl because then they have to be like, what do we do with Foles?
That would be fun, but they're also talking about trading Foles for 3 first-round draft picks. Just hopefully they don't.
Who
take
would
them.
make that trade?
No, obviously, but they'd probably get like 1 first-rounder and like maybe like a mid-tier second rounder.
No.
He's
What for?
30.
He's just won 2 Super Bowls.
Well, not yet.
Oh
Yeah.
my god!
I'm saying if he does,
So
but they're even talking right now.
You're telling me ownership. Now we're getting way off topic. It's just one quick thing. You're telling me ownership is going to allow, the team, the fan base is going to allow the Eagles to get rid of Foles, who just won them 2 Super Bowls.
Absolutely, because how many more is he actually going to win?
Oh, it's so stupid.
So get rid of him and get 2 really good
thing
players out of him.
They build a statue for the guy and then they trade him away. That's
Absolutely.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Absolutely.
Ugh,
I the same damn thing. Thanks for the Super Bowls. Get the hell out. Let me get players that are not 30 years old.
And then they suck and they don't make the playoffs and everybody's like, fuck management because they got away.
I'm not saying it's the smartest thing to do. I'm just saying that's what I would also.
They're not even going to get that kind of value for him anyway. I mean, okay, he won 2 Super Bowls, but guess what? No, he's proven no durability in the league as far as being able to start a full season. He is not the youngest guy, not terribly old, but you can get younger, better options at quarterback. Just because he's gone on 2 miracle runs with the Eagles doesn't mean that he's equipped to be a 16-game starter for any team for that matter. And they certainly wouldn't give up high draft picks for him.
But you deal Wentz if you win the Super Bowl, you deal Wentz because you can get high draft picks for Wentz.
That's
true. What you do, in my opinion.
I'd be inclined to agree with that.
I'm just saying what the rumors
are.
It's
That's all. Hey, we'll talk about it over the offseason.
And hey, Oakland's made dumber choices.
And with that, Austin, do your little thing where you say all those special things.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and wherever you're listening. If you are not listening on one of the other 4 places you can listen on iTunes, Spotify, Libsyn, Stitcher, and YouTube. If you are listening, comment on our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and let us know where you are listening. And also, as mentioned in previous episodes and most recently our last episode, we are still running our jersey giveaway. If you follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and if you want to follow us on Twitter, fire away, I would really appreciate it. But follow us on both of those and comment and let us know that you followed us, or take a picture and message us. I don't care. Just let me know that you did it, and we'll enter you to our jersey drawing.
Neat.
Jared, who are we?
We're called to the bullpen.
And Chase, what do we do right about now?
I think we're hanging up.
Yeah, I'd agree. All right. Oh.